Welcome to the daily news analysis. As part of DNA, we cover most important news items of the day from The Hindu and Indian Express in the comprehensive manner. So today we have some really good articles from EVM, VVPAT to this undersea cables to Kuwait visit of Prime Minister, the global crisis and the Defense Ministry signing a contract for artillery guns. All these are very important articles and we'll be studying them in detail. Now before that, one motivation for all of you. Most of you must be making some kinds of mistakes while preparing. And you start thinking about that mistake again and again, and you spend a lot of time on just thinking about it rather than taking some actions. So we suggest it's important to learn and not repeat the same mistakes. What's done is done. So if you have made any mistake, that's okay. Just move ahead. Don't make the same mistake again. Learn from them. That's why we see many students who get selected in the third or fourth attempt. They learned from their mistakes, they worked on it, and then they get selected. Okay, so it's a good motivation for all of you. Now, before starting with our analysis, just a brief introduction about our course. So in Narayana IS Academy, we have 1 year and 2 year courses, for which you can take admission. If you're looking for 2025, then you can go for 1 year prelims cum mains integrated course. If you're for 2026, and for 2027 batch, you can go for 2 years course. Now in this course, the course has been designed in such a way that 1000+ hours will be allotted to the entire course, wherein there will be more than 800 hours of GS plus CSAT and more than 200 hours of current affairs lectures. And if we talk about the course in detail, initially you will be provided with a strategic micro schedule which will include your entire syllabus, which will be defined in detailed manner. So we will be covering entire syllabus in a detailed manner through this micro schedule. We'll be having expert faculties and you will be tested regularly. You will be giving so many tests that somewhere around 4000 prelims practice questions and 1000+ mains practice questions will be solved by you, and those will be tested or checked or evaluated by our faculties. Then you will be provided with the study materials required. For example, we have this 12 Navigator NCERT books and 21 GS Navigator books. Apart from that, there will be many digital resources which will be available with you. And there is monthly Navigator magazine also for your current affairs preparation. So overall, the course has been designed in such a way that you prepare for prelims, mains and interview in an integrated manner. Clear? Now, let's start with our daily news analysis. Now, we have these 5 important articles. The first article over here talks about EVM machine. You must have heard about EVM, VVPAT, and many a times many political parties, after losing the election, they start talking about EVM. They say that there is some problem with EVM because of which we lost the election. So we'll understand this issue in detail. Okay, we'll understand how this EVM and VVPAT came into picture. Then second article is related to undersea cables. Recently a news came that 2 new undersea cables are under development for India. So very interesting for our internet connectivity. Third article is related to Kuwait visit by our Prime Minister. Now usually we don't see any visit by Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait. Earlier we saw the same thing at the time of Indira Gandhi and now by Prime Minister Modi. So very important. Then fourth article is related to global crisis. A linkage has been shown by a report when it comes to biodiversity, climate change, etc. So we'll understand that. And fifth article is related to Defense Ministry who has signed a pact for artillery guns. So we'll understand what that gun exactly is all about. Okay, let's move forward with our first article of the day, that is related to EVM, that is electronic voting machine. Now, is this topic important? Yes, it is important. And you need to know EVM and VVPAT both. Now, this can be asked in prelims as well as mains. For mains, GS paper 2, functions and responsibilities of various constitutional bodies. And Election Commission of India is an important constitutional body. They have carried out multiple reforms. Bringing EVM or VVPAT is one of that reform. So you should know about this. Now you can look at this previous year question. In the light of recent controversy regarding the use of electronic voting machines, that is EVM, what are the challenges before the Election Commission of India to ensure the trustworthiness of elections in India? So a very direct question was already asked regarding the controversy regarding this EVM in the year 2018. So similar question can be expected in the exam. Okay. Now what's happening? Why this is in news right now? So recently there was a petition filed in the Supreme Court. The petition was filed by an MLA. The name is Karan Singh Dalal and he is MLA since last 5 times. So this person went to Supreme Court saying that I am concerned about EVM and VVPAT and other machines that are there with Election Commission of India. Many political parties are saying that these machines are being tampered or being misused in such a way that they do not show the right results. So I want that there should be complete transparency. These machines should be secured. So for the safety, for the verification, for the accountability of these machines, he requested Supreme Court to take some actions. He wanted that Election Commission also should take some actions. Some kind of memorandum or policy framework should be provided. This is what the petition is saying. Okay. Now that is the reason we are discussing it. Let's first understand how the elections are usually carried out. See, when the elections started in India, let's say after 1950, when we started doing the elections, so initially elections were being carried out with ballot papers. So ballot paper, you will see one single paper on which you can mark whom you want to vote. And that paper will be put in a box. And later on, the officials from Election Commission of India, they will count down these ballot papers. They'll check which candidate has got how many votes. And then the results will be declared. Now, this was the process we were following earlier. But later on, we got to know that there is some problem with this system. The problem is many a times political parties try to capture the entire booth. So let's say there is one booth where the voting is taking place, one place where voting is taking place. One political party is ensuring that the real voters are not voting. Rather, the people from that political party, they are going there, they are capturing the entire booth and they are voting in the name of other voters. So this false kind of voting was taking place and there was no mechanism through which you could actually verify whether the real voter has voted or not. So there were many problems with the ballot paper system. Even if you want to count it, let's say you want to count the results, it's a time taking process. Officials had to sit and count each and every paper. That was a very long process. You required resources for that. So later on, we came up with a solution, or rather, Election Commission of India came up with one new thing called electronic voting machine. You must have seen this. So this voting machine captures the votes. So right now we are saying we are using electronics or we are recording votes electronically using this electronic voting machine. Now when you look at electronic voting machine, it looks similar to this. So if you remove this part, just remove this part, look at this part, part 1 and this part 2. These are part of the electronic voting machine. This one is called control unit. This one is called ballot unit. Now when you go for voting, you are going to click on the button which is there on this ballot unit. You will click. And here there will be control unit which will be there with the official who is going to conduct the election in your area, or the what we call it, the authorized person, authorized officer. He will be having control of this control unit. And the vote which you have given to any candidate, that will be saved exactly in this control unit. So later on when you have to tally or count the votes, that will be done from this control unit. Okay. So this is EVM, electronic voting machine. Now it was introduced for the first time in the year 1982. It has been incorrectly mentioned here. It is 1982. That is in Kerala. So in the Kerala, the state assembly elections were being carried out. So Election Commission decided that we'll make an experiment with this EVM machine. So there is this assembly constituency called Paravur. In the year 1982, they did this experiment with this assembly. Later on, Election Commission of India decided that we'll make use of this EVM machine for other elections or for state assembly elections. So in 2003, if you see, all the state assembly elections and all the by-elections, they were carried out using EVM and not the ballot paper. Then with time, Election Commission of India got comfortable with this system and decided that now we'll use only EVM and will not use ballot paper as such. So if you see, in the year 2004, the Lok Sabha election which took place in this year, that was with the use of EVM machines. So you see how gradually we started using this electronic machine. Okay. Now, there was one problem with this EVM machine, that it recorded your vote. Let's say you voted for one particular party or one candidate. That was recorded in that machine. But still many parties were saying that it is not so correct to say that the results are correct. Even if the Election Commission of India is saying that this candidate has got the highest number of votes, how should a person trust that? So where is the transparency? Where is the accountability? The other political parties demanded that we should have something, some documented evidence to see that my vote has been given to the same person. Whatever you have counted is the right number. So later on came the concept of voter verifiable paper audit trial, or in short VVPAT. So let's say if you look at this, we said this and this is EVM. So we introduced a new system called VVPAT. This is the VVPAT. Now what this machine does, it is linked to this EVM machine. And when you vote a particular candidate, his name, his party symbol and his serial number will be shown on a slip which will be visible over here. So there is a glass under which there will be a slip which will be generated as soon as you click on the EVM machine. And it will be there for 7 seconds. And after 7 seconds, it will get dropped inside this VVPAT machine. It's not like you will be getting that VVPAT slip. It will be dropped. It's just for the voter to get a transparent mechanism. So you voted for a person and you get the slip. That slip shows that you voted for the same person. So now you can trust the system of Election Commission of India. So to build the trust towards elections, the idea of VVPAT came into picture. And its first usage we saw in the year 2014. So the Lok Sabha elections of 2014 was carried out using VVPAT machine with EVM machines. So EVMs are there, then VVPATs are also added into it. Okay. So this is a kind of reform Election Commission has carried out till now. Please understand why such reforms are exactly needed. The reason is, any political system requires that the voters over there trust the political system. If voters do not trust the results of an election, then the entire system, entire political system can get collapsed. If people do not trust the institution, that institution cannot survive. So for that, we have to ensure that we have one thing called political legitimacy, that whoever is running the government, whoever is leading the political setup, they should have legitimate authority. That means people should feel that they deserve to be part of government, and people will feel that only when the elections are carried out in the democratic manner and the results are correct. Okay. Now, just to briefly understand, when EVM was brought in, what kind of advantages we saw. When VVPAT was brought in, what kind of advantages we saw there. So with the EVM machine, the earlier one, first of all, it saved our cost. Earlier we were using ballot paper, and with the ballot paper, we had to transport all those ballot papers from one place to another. Then we had to print it. So it all required some cost, right? But now you have just one machine which is taking care of everything. You don't need ballot paper. So the cost is reduced. Although to buy those machines, to construct all that infrastructure, initial cost is required. But later on there is no cost. Then I said that booth capturing used to take place earlier. Now you cannot do it to that extent. How? In that machine, EVM machine, in 1 minute at max you can vote 4 times. That means in 1 minute only 4 people can vote, not more than that. So to some extent this booth capturing has been reduced. Then for administration also this is very good. Earlier administration required lots of resources. So many people as part of the staff, they had to count down all those ballot papers. They also required many resources. It was a time taking process. All that has become easy now. Now the counting process is very easy. It doesn't take much time. It has got speeded up. Then overall time required for the election procedure, that has got reduced overall, we can say. So these are the benefits of EVM. Now if you look at the benefits of VVPAT machine, now the first thing is the vote verification, which is a very important thing for a voter. Now when a voter votes, he is satisfied that I have given the vote and it has been rightly captured. In case there is any kind of fraudulent activity being taking place, that can be detected very easily. Let's say you have captured the vote in the VVPAT also. Even if you do not count those VVPAT slips, in case after some time some party, any party goes to Supreme Court saying that there was some fraudulent activity taken in the elections, Supreme Court may call Election Commission of India and ask for verifying all those VVPAT slips. They can count the VVPAT slips and they can count the number coming from EVM machine and they tally whether the numbers are same or not. So the frauds can be detected very easily. Overall system has become more transparent, and whenever there is transparency, people start trusting the institution. The public confidence is increased due to transparency. And even for the Election Commission of India, if they want to go ahead with any kind of audit of their entire system, they can do it. If they want to recount the votes, let's say they counted the votes once, they are still doubtful about the votes, they can count it second time again, and it's very easy because it's electronic machine. We can do it very easily. Okay, so all these are advantages of EVM and VVPAT. Now let's talk about the recent controversy, what's happening in the recent times. So we observe many political parties reaching to Election Commission of India, or many times they talk in the media. They say that the EVM machine in a particular constituency has been tampered. Tampered means somehow some person has tried to interfere in the mechanism of this machine. For example, sometimes we see that our mobile phones, we use our mobile phones to control many other devices. Sometimes we control the air conditioner in a particular location using our mobile phones, whether using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or anything. So you are interfering, you are tampering some device using another device or any other technology. So many parties or many leaders alleged that EVM is being tampered by the ruling party, because of which only they are leading, or they are winning most of the elections because of this tampering. Now when you say this thing, whether this thing is true or false, this allegation itself starts building a narrative, and that narrative questions the credibility and the security of EVM machines. First of all, whether EVM machine can be trusted or not, the credibility question is there. And second, the security of it. Even if you started getting the elections done using these machines, but are these machines stored in the right way? Are they secure, or is someone getting involved in it and changing all those VVPAT slips or data, all these datas that are there? So this question is very important. As I said, if people do not trust the system, then the entire system will get collapsed. And that's why for our democratic setup, and for our institutional setup. It is very important that the people of India trust the EVM machine or VVPAT machine, right? So what Election Commission of India did, because these allegations were made against Election Commission of India, so Election Commission came up with some studies. They said that we have conducted some study, and this study is actually conducted by some independent technical experts. And these experts are saying that this EVM machine is having a standalone architecture. Standalone means it has no relation with any other machine, any other system. It doesn't have any Bluetooth or Wi-Fi which will get connected with any other system or any other device. It's a standalone one. It's a very independent kind of system. And that is why it is tamper proof. That means you cannot tamper it, you cannot hack it. This is the argument of Election Commission of India, and many times Election Commission of India gives a direct call to public saying that if there is any person who claims that you can tamper or hack the EVM machine, they can come and show it to us publicly, then we will go ahead and check the entire system. So as far as the technical side is concerned, Election Commission of India was saying that it's a reliable system you can trust because we have conducted this study and the study claims that it is tamper proof. But Election Commission of India has also taken some additional steps so that the trust or confidence can be developed among all the public. So what they did, firstly, they go for randomization of machines. That means when Election Commission of India allocates one particular machine, EVM machine, to one particular constituency or polling booth, it's not like they have already fixed it. They do it in the random manner. So a computerized random mechanism will be generated and suddenly one machine will be allocated to one particular polling booth. So they don't know already which machine will come to which booth or which polling station. This ensures that because of randomness, one cannot plan things already for this kind of tampering. Second, there is a sealing procedure. All these machines, EVM machine, VVPAT machine, everything is sealed. When the election is carried out, before that also, after that also, it is sealed. And the representatives from different political parties are present when that seal is made, so that everyone trusts this mechanism. And then secure storage is ensured when the election is carried out. After that, till the time the counting process starts, in this phase, these machines have to be stored in a manner that nobody can interfere in these systems. So it is under a very high security, and all those machineries which involve security personnel or the administrative personnel, everything is there when it comes to the security of this storage. So all this is done by Election Commission. So we can say to some extent a comprehensive safeguard mechanism has been introduced by Election Commission of India to ensure that people trust this EVM machine or VVPAT machine. Okay. Now as far as Supreme Court is concerned, because people are reaching out to Supreme Court. So what actions Supreme Court has taken till now? So we have this case of 2013, Subramaniam Swamy versus Election Commission of India. In this case, Supreme Court said that Election Commission of India should start implementing VVPAT machines gradually. So this process actually started. Then in the year 2019, Chandrababu Naidu case. Now in this case, Chandrababu Naidu demanded that at least 50% of the VVPAT slips should be counted in each constituency and they should be tallied or checked with the EVM counting. So this was the demand. But Supreme Court said that practically it is not feasible to be done. So Supreme Court said that instead of doing it 50% for all the constituencies, what we will do is we will choose only 5 polling stations per constituency. So there is one constituency. In that constituency, there will be multiple polling stations. So we will choose only 5 polling stations and there we will count the VVPAT slips. So through this, we are randomly checking all this counting and we are trying to ensure that the public trust is developed on this matter. Then we have another case of 2024, Association for Democratic Reforms versus Election Commission of India. Now, in this case, Supreme Court said that we are not going back to that ballot paper system and we will stick to EVM and VVPAT system. It is a trustworthy system. So first of all, we say this system has got approval from Supreme Court side. Second, what Supreme Court said is, in case there is any kind of conflict, in case the political parties which could not win the election but they feel that there is some problem with this EVM machine, then the person who is at the second number or the third number, they can request the verification of this burnt memory. So in that EVM machine there will be a memory which is stored for only few days and later on it is destroyed. So they can request the verification of that memory. But to carry out this process, some funding is required. So whatever cost is required, first those people, that second candidate and third candidate, will have to pay for this process. But in case whatever allegation they have made, if that is get proved, in that case all that money will be refunded to these people. So this is how Election Commission of India has started this verification process, and Supreme Court has said that you should go ahead with this. And third thing, the sealing of symbol loading units should be there for 45 days. Now what is this symbol loading unit? So all the political parties' symbols are stored in a unit, in a memory chip, and these are loaded and those are stored for a short time period till the time elections get done, the voting gets done and the counting gets done. After that it is usually destroyed. But Supreme Court said you should store it for at least 45 days so that in case there is any election dispute, we can even check this symbol loading unit. So all these are the recommendations or guidelines given by Supreme Court to the Election Commission of India regarding this entire matter. Okay. Now, what is the recent case then? We said that why we are reading this news, because recently an MLA has went to Supreme Court with a petition. In that petition, he is saying that this original burnt memory which you are deleting or destroying after 45 days, he is saying don't delete it even after 45 days. Please keep it. Please keep it so that we can verify it at any point of time. And Election Commission of India should come up with a systematic verification mechanism. Why? Because many political parties are raising this issue of EVM getting tampered, EVM getting hacked. So Election Commission of India should have a mechanism for verification of all these results or countings. And these machines, EVM and VVPATs, should be stored at a very safe location. For the safety of that location, some robust actions should be taken by Election Commission of India. This is what the petition is saying. And for doing all of this, Election Commission of India should come up with a policy, with a memorandum, and take these actions right now. This is the demand by the petitioner. Okay. Now what happens with the petition, what Supreme Court says, this is something we'll see later on whenever there will be any kind of judgment or observation from Supreme Court side. So this is the story till now. Okay. I hope you understand. If you have any doubts, please ask in the comment box. Let me check the comments. So Himabindu is saying very good topic selection, sir. Thank you. Then rolling back EVMs will be a regressive move. Benefits of EVMs and VVPATs outweighs cons. That's very true. If we go back to the system of ballot paper, this is something like we are going back to an era of backward technology. So a new technology, electronic technology, is actually making our tasks easier. So if you have any concerns related to the votes being counted by EVM, then you should talk about it rather than going back to the system. of ballot paper. You should reform the present system or check what are the issues with the present system and reform it, right? Okay, so let's move ahead with the next topic. Now the next article is related to submarine or undersea cables, which are going to help India's digital infrastructure or the internet connectivity, to be very specific. Now this topic is important for your prelims as well as mains. In GS paper 3, we study about science and technology. Even in GS paper 2, this topic becomes important from the governance perspective. Now you can look at this previous year question of 2018. You can read the question. What I am trying to show over here is that the question has been asked on Digital India plan of the government of India. Here they are talking about internet companies and all. So this is the area where the focus is very high from government side. Building good internet connectivity, building digital infrastructure. So in the UPSC exam also you will see questions from this theme. Okay. Now let's discuss what's exactly happening. So recently we got a news that two new submarine cable systems are getting introduced. These are international cables and the name is India-Asia Express and India-Europe Express. And by this, our digital infrastructure will get a new boost. Our internet connectivity will get developed in a better way or will become better with time. Now, first of all, when we say submarine cable system, what do we mean by that? So, if you know how does the internet actually works, we have one computer over here. We have connected this computer with this second computer. Then we connected this computer with third computer using a cable. Now, if you can access a file that is there with this computer using this computer, so file is here and you can access using this computer because all these are linked, then it is a kind of internet that you have developed. Now just imagine if you connect the computers or servers or memories around the world, all the whatever computers we have in India, if we connect them with the computers that are there in USA and entire world, then it's internet. It's a complete complex internet and all those should be connected by something. That something is this cable and we are talking about that cable. So in the world, whatever internet connectivity we have right now, that is because of these submarine cables. So the entire world is connected using these cables which are made up of optic fibers. So what optic fiber is? So this optic fiber cable, this is a cable which makes use of light. Using light, it transfers data from one place to another. So using light when you are transferring data, that is optic fiber cable. And using optic fiber cable, we have made a complete network of these submarine cables. We are calling it submarine because it is under the sea. Under the sea, in the entire world, we see such cables are there. And because of these cables, we see that entire world is in a position to access internet. So right now, our modern telecommunication, internet infrastructure is there because of this submarine cable network or submarine cable system. Okay, right now whatever internet you use, entire world's internet, 99% of it is because of submarine cables. Now what could be the alternative of these cables to access internet? It could be satellite internet. So you must have heard about satellite internet. A new idea is coming up wherein internet can be accessed using satellite communication. It is getting developed right now, but till the time it gets developed, we are saying we are dependent on these submarine cables. Okay. Now, if we talk about India's case, submarine cable system that is there with India. So, if we look at all those international cables, right now India has total 17 international submarine cables. And right now we are saying two more are getting added into it. For example, this India-Asia Express. This is going to connect Chennai with the Southeast Asia, which includes Thailand, Myanmar, and Singapore, etc. And the second one is India-Europe Express, which will connect India with Europe. The route will be obviously going from the West Asia. So these two are getting added. So 19 international submarine cables India will be having. And apart from the international ones, we have some domestic submarine cables also. For example, Chennai Andaman Nicobar Island cable. So Chennai is connected to Andaman Nicobar, all the islands of Andaman Nicobar. Then Kochi is linked to Lakshadweep Island. So such domestic cables are also there, international cables are also there. Now, when it comes to these international cables, we have some global regulatory mechanism, because see, you are putting those cables in the water which is not having sovereignty of one country. So let's say you are putting some cables in the Indian Ocean or Pacific Ocean. Nobody owns Pacific Ocean. So we need some mechanism which is acceptable to all the countries. So first mechanism is established through UN clause, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. If you read the article number 112 to 115 of this treaty, you will see that it is clearly mentioned that any company around the world can go ahead and set up these submarine cables. They can go ahead with the maintenance of it, preparation of it. Everything can be done. So the legal basis of building these submarine cables is coming from this UN clause, convention or treaty. Then second we have ITU, International Telecommunication Union. Whenever you are building a submarine cable, when you are constructing it, there must be some standard for it, and that standard is set by the International Telecommunication Union. So whether it is construction or then maintenance part or how to protect it, because see, these are put in the oceans and there will be very high pressure in that area. There is a chance of security in that area wherein security can be compromised. So overall, considering all these issues, some standards are set by IT. Then we have ICPC, International Cable Protection Committee, for the safety, resilience of all this. Whatever this ITU is doing, ICPC is supporting ITU in all these mechanisms. Somewhere some best practices will be told by this ICPC. Some kind of guidelines will be provided to the national governments so that they can come up with good cables or they can maintain those cables. The idea is that this global framework ensures that internet connectivity around the world does not get disrupted due to any reason. It should continue very smoothly. Now, this is the framework at global level. Now we'll talk about framework that we have in India. We have Department of Telecommunication. Now this department takes care of almost everything. When you are setting up a submarine cable, operating it, you are maintaining it, for everything you have to take license from the Department of Telecommunication. Especially when it comes to a private player, a private company. If they want to set up something, let's say they want to set up cable landing station. See, the cables are there undersea. When that cable comes to the shore, there you set up this cable landing station. So a private company wants to set up this, they need license from Department of Telecommunication. Okay. After that, we have Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, that is TRAI. We know about this agency. What they do is they decide or they regulate the price and quality of these submarine cables or the internet that is coming up over here. All this will be regulated by TRAI, and most of the times TRAI has a key role to play when it comes to policy matters. If government is making any policy, in that case TRAI will be giving some advice to the government in regard to all of these things, especially the submarine cables and all. Okay, so this is all about these submarine cables which you should know. Okay, let me check if you have any doubt till now. No doubts? I suggest, in case you get any silly doubt also, you should ask. Okay, so let's move ahead with our third article of the day. This article is related to Kuwait visit by our Prime Minister. Now this is important for your international relations studies. This can be asked in prelims when if you are reading this GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council. Now this becomes important for prelims. And overall India-Kuwait relations you can read with respect to India-West Asia relations. Okay. So you can look at this previous year question. Which of the following is not a member of Gulf Cooperation Council? You can try to attempt this question, although you will get the answer in this article itself because we'll discuss GCC. Yes? So very easy question and very factual question. You can expect such questions in future. Now we are saying Prime Minister Modi has visited Kuwait, and this is important because in last 43 years no Prime Minister had visited Kuwait. Last time it was Indira Gandhi who had visited, and now Prime Minister Modi. Now when we talk about Kuwait, it's a very important country. Strategically it's a very important country, mostly because it is part of GCC. It is part of GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. We'll study this, but first look at the map. This is the Persian Gulf, which is at the in the western side of India. Here you see Iran, and here you see Kuwait. So if you see the bordering country, we have Iraq also, we have Saudi Arabia also, and this side we have Persian Gulf. Now we are saying this country is part of GCC. And Gulf Cooperation Council as a group is very important geopolitically, economically, and for energy security of India. So you see the group which includes these 6 countries: Saudi Arabia, Oman, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. These 6 countries have formed a group. You can call it a regional group. And this regional group, what they do is when they want to negotiate something with other countries, they negotiate with a collective effort. Just like Europe has made that European Union, Southeast Asia has made ASEAN. Similarly, some kind of union has been made by this group, and this group is very powerful. Why it is powerful? Let's first understand. Initially, it was made in the year 1981 and it was formed in the Riyadh, the city of Saudi Arabia. Why I am saying this group is powerful is because of the oil reserves these countries have. We know that most of the oil reserves are there in the Gulf region. But if you look at these 6 countries, they contribute to more than or almost 50% of the oil reserves of the entire world. And we all know that India as a country is very much dependent on the crude oil. If suddenly the supply of crude oil stops, our economy will be in a very pathetic situation. So considering that aspect, we always want that our energy security is ensured, is very secure. And for that we should have good relations with these countries. See, in mid time we were buying oil from Russia. But right now we see that we have reduced it to some extent, and now again we are buying much more oil from this region. And when we look at this group, it seems very important for our foreign policy. Now, if you look at the organizational structure of this GCC, they have one Supreme Council. Now, this Supreme Council includes all the head of the state of these countries. And please understand, all these countries are very similar to some extent. Their political system is also very similar. All these are monarchies. They are not democracies, they are monarchies. Although everyone claims to be a democracy. And all these countries, the head of those countries, the monarchs, will come together and form this Supreme Council. So all the decision making authority is with this Supreme Council. Below this, there will be Ministerial Council. So all the foreign ministers of these countries will come together and form this council. Then below that, there will be Secretariat General. So all the administrative work will be done by this council. So this is how this GCC is working. Now, we are saying for our energy security, it is important. But for geopolitics also, it becomes an important group. Now, you see, if you have heard about this term called I2U2 in recent times, wherein Israel, India, UAE and USA, these 4 countries came together to form a kind of quad grouping in the West Asian region. Then if you look at the overall geopolitics, especially in the West Asia, right now things have become very complex, wherein USA wants to dominate the region, but there are other countries who are also dominating, whether it is Iran getting involved, Russia getting involved, China getting involved. India is also becoming part of the West Asian politics. So geopolitically, all these countries are important. For us, they are important. For them also, we are important. And now we are seeing, when we look at the entire region of GCC, it seems important from different angles. So if you look at the economic cooperation we have with the GCC, so if you count down the trade, it is somewhere around 184 billion in the year 2022 to 2023. Now I'm saying it is important. Why? Because if you compare it with EU, we have trade with EU also, but it is more with the GCC. The numbers are more. So overall, economically also we are doing good. Then right now when this meeting has took place, we saw some discussions taking place on different scales. It's not like we are just talking about crude oil when it comes to GCC. We are talking about different kinds of partnerships. For example, we are having defense cooperation with the countries in the region. Let's say we have some bilateral military exercises with Oman, with Saudi Arabia, with UAE. Even if I talk about UAE, UAE is one of the top trading partner of India. Even after that, there is Saudi Arabia also. So apart from trade, we have defense cooperation. Then Indian diaspora is present in this region in a substantial amount. There are so many people who have gone to this Gulf region and they are working there. They send money to India in the form of remittance. So this diaspora is important. We have cultural ties since ancient times with this region. And right now also we are trying to develop or build these cultural ties and even the sporting ties. So we are trying to have some sport activities with these countries. Okay, right now if we look at the entire region and the ties we have with those, if we look at what kind of challenges we are facing right now, one is about the economic diversification, and this is where India needs to work on that. Our relations should not only depend on the oil or this energy security angle, and the ties should be diversified. We should cooperate in so many things that this oil should be just one part of it. Then our diaspora many a times faces some issues in those countries. Some human right concerns are there, so those needs to be addressed, and some geopolitical balancing is required. We know that the West Asian politics is very complex and very fragile. It's already divided. There are so many players. One is Iran, one is Turkey, one is Saudi Arabia, one is Israel. All these parties make the things very complex, and India has to balance. India always tries to balance. India tries to take position in such a way that they take side of the Gulf Arabs as well as the Israel, and somehow tries to balance all these things. Because for us, eventually our national interest is important, our energy security is very important. Okay, so this is all about Kuwait, right? Now let me check if there are any more doubts. No? Okay. So the next article is how global crises are connected. Now this is being said by a report which is given by IPBES, and this report is important. This organization is also important for prelims. For mains, this analysis or this interlinkage which is created or which is shown by this institute, that interlinkage is very important. We can directly mention in the answers also. First of all, look at this previous year question. I suggest you please read this question. I hope you read this question. Now, if you read, you get an idea that somewhat the question is talking about various competing sectors and stakeholders in this protection and prevention of degradation of environment. Now, this is a very broad question. Right now, we are observing the phenomenon of climate change, biodiversity loss, and UPSC will be asking questions on such broader themes. You should be ready with answers or illustrations or examples or those interlinkages to write answer for these kind of questions. Okay, now let's start with our article. So we have this agency called Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Economic Services, in short IPBES. This IPBES has come up with a report. The report is Nexus Report, we are calling it. You can see this report. In this report, they have shown interlinkage between biodiversity, water, food, health, and climate change. They are saying all these five things are completely interlinked. So if there is any change in the food, health, or water, that will be having impact on the climate change. That will be having impact on the biodiversity. This is shown by this particular report. Now, first of all, let's understand this agency or this organization. In 2012, this IPBES was established. It is an independent intergovernmental organization. Intergovernmental means different governments of different countries came together and formed this organization. It's an independent organization. It is not working under any other body. Just like we talk about United Nations. We are saying this IPBES is not working under UN or any other body. It is completely independent. Right now, this IPBES has total 150 members, and India, interestingly, is a founding member. So, in 2012, when this body was formed, India was a key member of this organization. And we are saying it is not part of United Nations, but still there is one body under United Nations called UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program. This body provides the secretariat support to this IPBES. So even though it's not UN body, but still some support is coming from UN side. Okay. Now what the report given by this Nexus report given by this body is saying. First of all, they have shown that the economic model we have right now, the economic practices that we have right now, it is leading to the loss of biodiversity and loss to such an extent which we have not counted till now. And they have counted it to somewhere around 10 to 25 trillion dollars annually. Every year, this much damage we are making to our entire system, entire biodiversity, because of our economic activities. So whatever economic activities, the industries that we have, the cars, vehicles, everything, whatever we have, that is leading to some negative impact on those five elements, these biodiversity, water, food, health, climate change. On all of this, there is some impact, and because of that impact, every year we are seeing this loss of 10 to 25 trillion dollar. This is what they are saying. Second, they're saying that we are observing biodiversity decline in a very rapid manner. Right now, we have some biodiversity, it is declining, and it is declining in a very rapid, very fast way. So, they have shown this with some examples. For example, in the past 30 to 50 years, we have seen the rate of biodiversity decline, which is somewhere around 2 to 6%. So, to just give you an example, the world had so many wetlands, and 85% of the wetlands have got already reduced because of these inhuman economic activities. Then when such things happen, when biodiversity gets declined to with such a speed, what will happen? See, the biodiversity, what it does is, when you have so many trees over here, those trees will be capturing the carbon. They will take up the carbon and store it, which is called as carbon sequestration. They do it. But if you are cutting the trees, cutting the forest, then that carbon sequestering process will be reduced. The capacity of the biodiversity to reduce carbon, that will also be reduced. So climate change phenomena or global warming phenomena will further get increased or intensified. And it is not like this is going to affect few people, it is rather affecting more than 50% of the entire global population right now. So it's a very concerning thing. Then the report says that we are very much dependent on the nature. You see, whatever economy we have right now, the world economy, out of that $58 trillion worth economic activities are directly dependent on nature. For example, if you are doing agricultural activities, those are completely dependent on nature. So all the economic potential it has, it is dependent on it. So when you go ahead with this unsustainable freshwater extraction, when you go ahead with wetland degradation, deforestation, this is a concerning thing, this report is saying. And then the report is saying that there is a linkage between this climate change and this biodiversity loss. The ecosystem is getting destroyed by us, and because of this rise, right now we are observing new diseases are emerging. So the report is claiming that 50% of the emerging new diseases, new infectious diseases, is because of the impact we are observing, or the interlinkage we are observing in these five different things. So if there is a disease which is there with an animal, or let's say the ecosystem, that gets transferred to humans also. So the report is saying overall everything is linked. Okay, so this is all about the fourth article, and now we have reached to our last article of the day, that is related to defense ministry. Okay, let me check any other comment. No comments. Okay, so let's start with our last article. So defense ministry has signed a pact of 7,629 crore rupees for 100 artillery guns. The name of that gun is K9 VAJRA-T. Important, very important for your prelims, I would say, more than mains. Now look at this. We have a company called Larsen and Toubro, L&T, and there is a South Korean company with which it is having some collaboration. And with this collaboration, these companies have developed this K9 VAJRA-T artillery guns. Now look at this. This is the K9 VAJRA-T artillery gun. Now this is completely similar to one of the similar system which is there in South Korea. So in South Korea it is called as K9 Thunder. So based on the same concept, now they have developed K9 VAJRA-T for India. Now the range of this artillery gun is somewhere around 50 kilometers. So it can attack somewhere till 50 kilometers. Very good. An important thing about this machine is shoot and scoot mechanism. What it will do is it will shoot let's say this machine is there at a particular location. From here it will shoot some weapon against an enemy, and as soon as it shoots, it will relocate from this position to some other position. Usually what happens, if you shoot from a location, you stay there only, then the enemies can attack you back. So you will get relocated suddenly, and because of which this system can ensure its own defense. So this is called shoot and scoot. This is there with this K9 VAJRA-T. So initially India inducted this machine, or this gun, in 2021. So 100 such artillery guns were included in India, or inducted in India in this 2021, and now government has given one more order, or one more pact has been signed for 100 more such artillery guns. And an important fact about it is that this construction, or this manufacturing of these artillery guns, which is being done with collaboration of South Korea and L&T, here 50% of the components required will be indigenous components. So we are somehow supporting or promoting our Make in India project. 50% components will be India's own indigenous one. Okay, so this is how this K9 VAJRA-T is going on. Okay, so this is all about this topic. Now the time has come for some practice questions. I suggest please read this mains practice question. I'll discuss the answer, but just read it once. Done? Okay. Question is saying, discuss the steps taken to ensure the reliability and transparency of EVMs and VVPATs in India. 150 words. Now, a very simple and straightforward question. You have to introduce with the EVM and VVPAT directly. So either you can talk about the importance of EVM in ensuring that there is efficiency, transparency, and electoral malpractices are reduced, or you can mention that there are concerns being raised by many political parties right now. You can set the context regarding the tampering of EVM and VVPAT and all. So this is how you introduce your answer. Then the question has directly asked about steps already taken. You have to mention that. For example, Election Commission of India has already shown these technical safeguards. They had conducted that study and whatever they have talked. You can mention that all those administrative measures they have taken, VVPAT implementation which was done later on, all this is part of the steps taken by Election Commission of India. Then it's not like only Election Commission was taking steps, it was judiciary also. So you can also mention about these cases, Subramanian Swamy case, Chandrababu Naidu case, this ADR case of 2024. All this you have to mention step by step to show that we have taken all these steps. I would suggest, if you have space left, you should also mention what else has to be done as a part of way forward, some kind of optimistic solution you can give over here. And in conclusion, you can say that the trust in these systems, these mechanisms, or the public confidence is very important. And that's why such reforms should be carried out with time periodically, or continuous reforms are required for ensuring political legitimacy and trust in the institutions. Okay. Now, let's start with prelims practice questions. Now, these are the questions from our yesterday's topics, yesterday's DNA. So, consider the following statements regarding crimes against humanity. It's an easy question, I will say. Crimes against humanity are governed by a dedicated treaty under international law. There is no such treaty, there is no dedicated treaty as such at this point of time. So, first statement is wrong. Rome Statute of International Criminal Court includes provisions for prosecuting crimes against humanity. That is true, it has some provisions. Third, crimes against humanity can only be committed during armed conflicts. Now, this is also not true. See, even if there is armed conflict, or even if it is not there, it's a peacetime. In that time also, you can go ahead with it. This crimes against humanity can be committed in the peace time. So only second statement is right. So I'll go ahead with the answer B2 only. Okay. Now question second. Consider the following statements about particularly vulnerable tribal groups in India. First is, low levels of literacy is one of the criteria for the identification of PVTGs. Yes, this is absolutely true. This is one of the criteria. No PVTG are found in the states of Punjab and Haryana. Many people will say this is wrong statement, but this is actually right statement. And third, Ministry of Tribal Affairs decides on the categorization of PVTG. Absolutely wrong. It is Ministry of Home Affairs. So this statement is wrong. So only 1 and 2, A is the right answer. Then third question about Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Sundials can function at all times of the day irrespective of weather conditions. See, this will not be a sundial at all. It will work when there is sunlight, direct sunlight is there. So this statement itself is wrong. And I don't even need to read this, because if you make one as wrong, one as wrong, one as wrong, you directly reach to the answer. 2 and 3. This is called elimination if you know at least one statement. Right? So even this one is done. Now the questions as part of your homework. These are the questions from today's articles, and I suggest you to go ahead and attempt those questions. The link will be there in the comment box. You can directly reach out to our website where you can attempt these questions. So please attempt there. So which of the following countries are members of Gulf Cooperation Council? Now you know. We have discussed all those 6 countries. So you can answer. The 30 by 30 target often mentioned in the news is an outcome of the conference of parties of which convention? Now this is a tough question for you. And third, consider the following statements regarding submarine cable systems. These submarine cables are fiber optic networks laid on the ocean floor that carry 99% of the world's international internet traffic. Second, India-Asia Express connects India to Europe via Mumbai with links to Greece and Djibouti. And third, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea provides a legal framework for laying and maintaining submarine cables in international waters. Very easy question if you have attended this lecture. Okay, so please attempt all these questions. And with this, I say we are wrapping up the session. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much for joining.